Hello, and welcome to our group demo of BrightPattern's multi-channel cloud contact center software. I am Shelby Ferris, and I'm going to be your moderator for today. I am the marketing manager at BrightPattern. I'm also going to be joined by Darren Prine, our enterprise solutions consultant, and Nick Deininger, our solutions engineer. Hello, guys.
Good morning.
You guys.
Good morning, Shelby.
Good morning, Darren. Good morning, Nick. Would you guys mind telling our attendees a little bit about yourselves before we get started?
Certainly. This is Darren Prine, and I have been selling cloud-based contact center solutions for the last 8 years, and I'm very excited to be part of the BrightPattern team, really excited about the type of customer engagement we can bring and the radically improved customer experience that comes with our technology.
And my name's Nick Deininger. I'm a solutions engineer. Been working in call centers since I was about 16. I've worked in large and small centers alike, and I recently got into the technology side of things about 2010 or so. So I'm excited for what we have to show you today.
Great, thank you both. We will also be doing a Q&A section at the end of the demo, so if you do have any questions during the demonstration, please enter them into the Q&A feature in the GoToWebinar panel. And with that, I'm going to pass it over to Darren.
Excellent. Thank you, Shelby. What we're going to do, I'll give you our agenda. I'm going to start off by introducing BrightPattern, what differentiates BrightPattern from others in our space. And then I will turn control over to Nick, and he's going to actually jump into the agent interface, so you'll get to see the agent experience. Then we'll walk through the supervisor experience, and then end with the admin interface, and he'll show you how in our admin interface we create workflows for different channels, how we create omnichannel skills-based routing, all of the different reporting options, and so on. So I'll go ahead and get started. BrightPattern was established in 2010, but most important is that our engineering team has been working together for the last 20 years, or at least most of them. Our engineers most of them met when they worked at Genesis in the 1990s, actually the early 1990s through the early 2000s. And after that, our CEO, who was the director of engineering there, cherry-picked some of the best talent Genesis had. I think they had 200 engineers at the time, including himself. The top 20 left, and fortunately, we have them here at BrightPattern. These are folks that their background is building enterprise infrastructure for some of the biggest brand names in the world, all Fortune 500, Fortune 1000 companies. And in addition to our Genesis engineers, we also cherry-picked some talent away from a company called Aspect. Aspect also, like Genesis, very well known and respected in providing premise-based call center solutions and workforce management. And so our core team of engineers holds over 100 call center technology patents, and they are the best in the business. And I think it's a giant differentiator for us, the level and quality of engineers that we have that built the platform, that manage it, and maintain it. So what we're looking at here on this slide is we are a global company. We have clients around the world. We also have about 8 companies that resell us under their own label around the world. And on the map, you can see some of the locations around the world where our software is being hosted right now. Here's just a brief list of some of our customers, and more coming all the time. Our software has a variety of deployment options that are available. First off is the typical cloud deployment, which is the most popular. Generally, companies are looking to offload managing software, managing hardware, managing infrastructure, handling forklift upgrades, all of that kind of thing. They'd rather have somebody else deal with all of that, dealing with the infrastructure, dealing with the telephony, so that they can focus on their core business and their core competency. And we do this very well. So in a typical deployment, we're going to manage our software, we're going to manage the hardware in our data centers. All clients need to do is connect to us through our interfaces, use the software, and we handle everything on the back end, including the telephony. However, there's times, and for other customer use cases, where it might make sense to have us deployed in Amazon's AWS or Microsoft's Azure, or in a client's, or at a client's site, or in a client's data center. And so we're open to all those options. And in some cases, it might even make sense for clients to bring their own telephony. So we have a variety of options available. Next, I'd like to talk about CRM integration. This is a strong core competency for BrightPattern. We have out-of-the-box integrations with Salesforce, with Zendesk, with Oracle's Right Now, Microsoft Dynamics, and others. We also have integrated with a number of clients homegrown CRMs. So we have a couple different CRM integrations, one of which is, I call it a complex integration, where we actually reside within that CRM. So like with Salesforce and Zendesk, there's single sign-on. All the work done from the agent side is done within those CRMs. And then there's a more simple integration where we pull the CRM into our agent interface. And there's click to dial, we can fetch data, we can push data, and so on, and it works really well. So depending on what a client needs, we can work out a complex or simple CRM integration. Now our platform is designed to be very intuitive, and ultimately our goal here is to empower customers to be able to log in and make changes whenever they wish to. So they can go in as an admin, for example, they can add queues, they can add campaigns, they can make changes to scripts, add new scripts, change workflows, add workflows, build IVRs, and so on. And it's intuitive enough, and our training is strong enough that they're empowered to go in and do that when they want to on their own. So ultimately you don't end up sitting around waiting for us every time you need to have a change made. Now with a bunch of Genesis and Aspect engineers, you can imagine they built this for the multi-thousand seat call centers. Personally, you know, if a platform works for a 5,000 seat call center, it'll also work for a 50 seat center or a 100 seat center. But really we were built with the enterprise in mind, and so we have enterprise scalability. And the BrightPattern platform will scale up to close to 10,000 agents in a single tenant. Now when Nick takes over, one of the things he'll show you is that we have built-in post-contact surveys, which are pretty cool. We have quality management built in. Not only can you monitor calls and do whisper functionality and barge in if you needed to, but we also have an available option where you can monitor the agent screen with audio, and you can even do screen recording with audio. Next, we have our grading. You can create custom categories that you want to grade agents on, and then you can grade the agents while you're listening or watching their transaction, or later on from the recording, either way. Also, in some systems, supervisors are all kind of forced to look at the same real-time analytics. In our system, supervisors can customize that real-time data that they're looking at, which helps them do their job a little bit better than if they're forced to just look at what everyone else is looking at. We are mobile ready, so we understand that I think 78% of folks calling into a service provider are doing so on a mobile phone, and then I think 65% of that is on a smartphone. And so we are mobile ready. We leverage mobile and smartphone technologies as far as SMS, picture sharing, document sharing. I think I already mentioned SMS. We have a mobile software development kit. So if a company has a mobile app, we can be part of that mobile app, allowing customers to communicate via chat, voice, or even video. And then we'll get to my favorite part, omnichannel. Now everybody out there says that they're multi-channel or that they're omnichannel. But when you look under the hood, you'll generally find that that's not the case with most of the providers on the market. Sure, they have voice, and they might have chat, and they might have email, but ultimately what you end up finding out is that they have siloed or disparate systems. So I'll give you an example. In a traditional environment with your bank or your service provider, go ahead and start a chat with them. And then at some point ask if you can move the conversation from chat to voice. Maybe you can tell them you're not resolving it fast enough in chat. And ultimately what you'll end up hearing is, well, I'm sorry, our chat system is different than our voice system. and you're going to have to call our toll-free number and start all over again and repeat yourself with another agent. I think we can all agree this makes for a terrible customer experience. It's frustrating. Nobody likes it. It's not good for the agent. Certainly not good for the customer. And so what BrightPattern has built is a blended omni-channel platform. We built it in-house. Everything's proprietary. We didn't buy any other systems. We built it all here. And in our system, we have all of the different ways you could want to allow a customer to connect to an agent: voice, chat, email, SMS, mobile app, video, social messengers, and more. And what's great about it is we can actually move from one channel to another. So if a conversation starts in chat and the customer decides, or the agent decides, this isn't getting resolved well enough or fast enough, they can initiate to move it to voice or even to video if that would help. Likewise, here's another real-life example. Nowadays, since we're on mobile phones, we're not tethered or anchored to a specific location. We're on the go. So, a customer and agent could be on a conversation, and now the customer gets on a subway or a train, and maybe now it's too loud for voice, and voice isn't optimal. Well, we can move that conversation to texting, to SMS, and then maybe later on when they get off the train or the bus and they get back to an office or their home, we can move it back to voice. So this is what we believe, and our customers believe, is how you create a great customer experience, by letting customers use their favorite device, their favorite app, their favorite media channel, and then even be able to move from one channel to another as needed. Now, this is, again, all of the different channels and everything I've just discussed. It's all through one system. There's one interface that an agent's using regardless of the media channel. And in fact, agents can handle multiple media transactions at once. So for instance, if you determine that your agents can handle, say, 2 chats and 2 emails at the same time on a single screen, they're able to toggle back and forth between the different interactions. And likewise, supervisors from a single screen are able to, with a drop-down, look at and monitor all of the different transactions, again, from a single screen. The good part about having agents being able to handle multiple media transactions at once is it gives you a better agent utilization or a better efficiency. So let's say a voice agent can only handle 10 transactions in an hour. If the agent's empowered to handle voice, chat, and email, maybe they handle 15 or 20 transactions in an hour. This gives you better bang for your buck for what you're paying your agents. It gives you better efficiencies, better agent utilization, and you're able to ultimately determine what your agents can handle, how many media transactions, and which ones take precedence over others. I call it media concurrency, but Nick's going to show you when he takes over how that is set up in our system. Social messengers is something to keep an eye on. You have companies like Facebook Messenger that are committed to being the #1 way that customers interact with service providers. And then you have others like WhatsApp and WeChat and Line, Viber, Telegraph. There's so many of them out there, but so many of them have close to 1 billion or even over 1 billion active users. And we have integrations with the most popular social messengers. Ultimately, in our interface or in the CRMs we work with, it pops up like a chat. It's something to look at. It's something to consider, because your customers are already using these social messengers. They like them. Why not allow them to connect to your agents using the app that they like the best? When Nick takes over, he's going to show you our reporting options. We have interaction reports. We have a bevy of built-in reports. We have the ability to create customized reports in the system. And for those that need it, we even have direct-to-database access available. With workforce integration, we have integrations out of the box with Aspect and Verint, but we can use those same connectors to connect to almost any popular workforce management solution. So LoxySoft, Telopti, Calabrio, Monet, doesn't really matter to us. We're happy to work with you to integrate with the workforce management solution provider that's best for you. So some of the integrations I talked about with CRM, it could even be order management systems and whatnot. The complex ones are very cool because we reside within those applications. So for Zendesk, in Zendesk, for example, the agent just logs into Zendesk and there's single sign-on, and they do all their work right there in Zendesk. They're not having to toggle back and forth between Zendesk and the Bright Pattern agent interface. They're able to reside within Zendesk, which makes it pretty nice, and then everything from that transaction automatically populates where it should within Zendesk. And likewise with Salesforce, I'm going to say we have the best Salesforce and Zendesk integrations on the market. And again, Salesforce single sign-on and really a robust integration with both versions of Salesforce. So with that said, I think I've covered enough about Omnichannel and enough about Bright Pattern. I think it's time to get to the more exciting part of this demo, and that is actually seeing the platform. So without further ado, Nick, I'm going to give you control to take over here.
All right, sounds great, Darren. Thank you. So we'll go ahead and share the screen here. Okay. So what we'll take a look at, as Darren mentioned, we're going to take a look at the agent interface, which is what you're seeing here. We'll also look at the supervisor interface and show you how these two interact with each other. Then we'll look at some of the behind-the-scenes configuration that happens in the admin interface as well. So up at the top left are my agent states that I can switch to. Various not ready states can be configured in our platform and used. So we'll make this agent ready for now. We've also got this interactions menu, which we'll get to in a minute, but this essentially shows you which interactions you're on as an agent, and you can toggle between things like our agent calendar, which has a built-in feature to push notifications to agents when events come up, so you can schedule this and we can deliver notifications to agents as well. Up at the top, you've got some real-time customizable metrics. So your calls in queue, for example, could be a real-time metric that you want your agents to see. You can also show their performance as it relates to the team. So here I've taken 2 calls and the rest of my team has only taken 1. We've got a built-in directory, so if you need to transfer any interactions to other users or perhaps see their presence, you're able to search for that user and transfer these interactions to them. We've got an email system with 2 types of email distribution. So the types are push options, which include emails coming in, getting distributed to agents based on skills and business rules. And then in a pull scenario, which is what we've got set up here, we can pull these emails from our team queue into our personal queue. So once we do that and double click on the email, it now is tracking me. So I'm starting to work this email. I have access to the entire history of the back and forth. So if we've got auto acknowledgements, we can see which auto acknowledgement message was sent out to that person. If there was a disposition by an agent, we're able to track that as well as any other messages that go back and forth. On the right-hand side is the draft. So this is where I can write a draft as an agent. We do support variables for the email system, so if you wanted to create signature blocks that all the agents could use, we could do that, and then we could pop the first name and last name into the signature block. We have a built-in knowledge base that you can search through. You can also use these for canned responses. So if I click on the canned response I want and click Use, it's going to pop that response in there for me. And then from here I'm able to do all the things that you would expect in a normal email type of environment, where I can send the email out. I can request assistance from a supervisor by clicking on the flag button. I can also transfer the email just like we can with calls or chats or any other media types on our platform. And that can be transferred directly to a person, or it could be transferred to a different queue. We also support attachments. Not just attachments to the email itself for documents and pictures, but we can also support inline attachments. Perhaps that's part of a signature block. So while we have this email working, I'm going to initiate a chat conversation with this same agent. So what I can do is initiate an example of chat. So this is going to be an example of chat. We've got several different types of chat. We've got web chat, which is what you're seeing here. We've also got mobile chat. So our software development kit allows you to build the chat channel, the voice channel, video channels into your mobile app. So we'll go ahead and submit this. And as the agent now, I'm receiving this inbound chat. So I'm going to go ahead and accept that. And now I'm on a chat with this person. So as an agent, I can focus on the chat, but I can also continue to toggle back and forth between the chat and the email to be able to work both channels simultaneously. From a chat perspective on the customer side, they'll be able to see the agent's name, their title, their avatar, and then again, as Darren mentioned, we can escalate this a couple of different ways. We could escalate it by clicking on the green button, initiating a voice and video call right through the browser. And this person could also type in a phone number, and they could also initiate, the agent could initiate a call with that person as well. We do two-way document and picture sharing through chat. So if I needed to share something with this particular agent, we could simply do that by uploading the picture that we need. And then from the agent's perspective, they're going to be able to see that picture that was uploaded. They'll be able to warm transfer or conference in others into this chat. They're also able to use predefined responses. So again, we can use those variables to build custom responses for the customers that you're speaking with. And then on the right-hand side could be any URL you want. You could pop multiple URLs if you like. You can also make use of the knowledge base that we were talking about earlier. It could be part of that as well. In addition, we still offer the other options like we were looking at with flagging. So again, if an agent needs assistance, they'd be able to get that flag and see and contact the agent. They could either call them or they could instant message them. So now what we'll do is we'll take a look at an example of a mobile app. So let me go ahead and initiate my mobile app here. So should have it on the screen. And so this is an example of a mobile app. So we'll go ahead and say hi to this particular agent, and we'll connect over. So again, it's very similar to what we were just looking at, but the beauty of using a mobile app is that you can use services from the phone. So in this case, we're going to use a location service and see exactly where that person's phone is located. But again, we're able to escalate this to a voice or video call. I could start a voice or video call by using one of the other channels that we've built in using our software development kit. So what we can do here is, as Darren mentioned, we do post-contact surveys, so those also can apply to this sort of scenario where we have a mobile app. So if I end this, this mobile app chat, it's going to pop into the post-contact survey. So I'm able to collect some additional information in the moment versus having to wait till a later time to do that. So we'll go ahead and disposition this. So as Darren mentioned, we also have a full blended omnichannel environment, so that does include voice. I'll go ahead and call into my inbound voice queue. We call it a scenario on our platform. An IVR could be part of that scenario. So we'll go ahead and play this, and we'll press 1. So now I'm going to get routed to this agent. So we'll go ahead and accept that call. I'm going to mute this on both sides here. And now I'm on an inbound call. Again, we support outbound calling as well, so things like predictive dialing, preview dialing, progressive dialing, and automated dialing, sort of like a voice broadcast, those can all be supported as well. And we'll take a look at some of those features. But what we have here is the ability to look at the inbound call. On the right-hand side is a URL that we've popped. It could be a CRM or some other tools that the agents are accustomed to using in their environment. And while I'm on this call, I'm also able to toggle over to the chat and also toggle over to the email, so I can work all of these channels simultaneously. We'll take a look at some of that configuration to show you how you can route interactions based on agents' capacity and availability as well. We've also got the ability to play a predefined message, so this could be a list of messages that either you could have the agent themselves individually record, or you could have a generic message to play. It's useful for things like disclaimers, agreements, or just basically messages to let people know that the call may be recorded for quality or training purposes. But those messages are, of course, WAV files that you can upload. If I click on play, it's going to just start playing the test message. So those can be triggered automatically or manually by the agent as well. I'm going to hit the flag here just to show you what it looks like on a supervisor screen. So you'll see that once I hit that flag, it now shows me as the agent that I have a flag. And if I jump over to the supervisor screen, you'll see that I've got a couple of different teams that I'm monitoring. And Agent Allen, who's the agent I'm logged in as, has a flag. So I can take a look at the rolled up view of his interactions that he's on, and I can see all of what he's doing. So you'll notice that we have a dashboard here set up. These dashboards are customizable. You're able to add and hide different metrics to the dashboard. So if I wanted to see speed of answer, for example, we could see that, and we could resize these. We can move them around, and these will all save. So a supervisor can have it be exactly as they left it the last time they logged in, for example. Under where the team is, again, you have those same customization features of adding and hiding metrics. And then we can also monitor, coach, or barge into all of the different channels, just like we can with calls. So if we just go ahead and maybe coach Agent Allen on this chat, we can click coach. We can see now that this supervisor has an interaction that popped up for him. And then we can also see what they're talking about, any pictures that were submitted, any URLs that they're currently working on. And then I can one-way chat to the agent as the supervisor. So essentially it's a coaching session that we've built in. Again, we can do the same thing across multiple channels. We can also grade this agent. So we've got some built-in QA functionality that's available, and you can customize the labels here. So you can assign grades to agents as they're doing the interaction, maybe real time, or perhaps you want to do it historically as an admin. Either way, we can keep the same continuity in that the supervisor can submit the grades, and those will be available for later viewing by an admin. A couple other notes on supervisors. We can run outbound campaigns from here. We have a built-in campaign dashboard, if you will. So we're able to look at our outbound campaigns. We can track the performance. Again, these are all going to be customizable, not just at the top here with the campaigns, but we can see the individual metrics on the campaigns. And then we can also look at each individual campaign, and we can start and stop it from here as a supervisor. So it's very useful if you're automating the process of dialing out. You're able to load leads into our system, and then at some point your supervisors could manually trigger, start and stop the campaigns, or you could even automate that process as well. So finally, I'll mention that we have post-contact surveys, as Darren was talking about. So an example of that I've shown you on the mobile app. We could also look at an example on the web chat. So if I end this chat, we'll see that we now have a post-contact survey available. We can optionally send the transcript out of that chat. And then we can also do the same thing with voice calls. If I, as the agent, go ahead and hit end on this voice call, it's going to jump right into the survey. So we're able to collect information again in the moment versus having somebody opt in and decreasing our chances of getting a response about how that interaction, how it went with the agent. So that is the supervisor and the agent interfaces in a nutshell. We're going to transition over to the admin interface and show you some of the configurations that occur behind the scenes. So in the admin portal, we've got a number of different options. We've got the ability to configure and set up users. So all of our users are going to be set up in here, and each user will have a role or a set of roles. So you might see this super user have a number of different roles versus our agents, who might actually just only be listed as agents. Each role has a granular set of security features that you can look at. So for an agent, for example, I could maybe have access to do things like handle email or chats or SMS. But as an admin or a super user, I will have the ability to grant or revoke the same access to other users on the platform. So because of this, we're able to build a granular security model. A lot of our BPO clients really like the fact that we have a BPO client type of role. So listening to call recordings and chat transcripts for their clients now becomes easy. So you can create a user for a BPO client. They log in, and they only see what you've given them access to. So that way the information doesn't bleed over to other clients that that particular BPO is working for. We have the ability to do skills-based routing. The first part of skills-based routing is essentially hard-coding the different skills into the agent profiles. So each service on our platform has a skill. On our platform, we have what are called scenarios, which is the logic of what happens when an interaction comes in. And then we have services, which is where essentially the interaction ends up. So that could be an individual inbound queue, an email queue, a chat queue. So we can configure our own custom skills and skill groups like we've got here. But we can also configure our own skills for each service. So we can maybe designate some agents that are better than others, agents that I want to handle calls before other agents can all be set up through here. So 100 on our platform is considered the best skilled agent. Anything less than that would be second best or greater. So we'll go ahead and take a look at a scenario itself and take a look at the step 2 essentially of skills-based routing. So we'll look at the scenario that we called into just a few minutes ago. So what we've got here is the flow in the middle. So we have all of our options for the blocks on the left-hand side that we can drag in here. As Darren talked about, we do out-of-the-box integrations with RightNow and with Salesforce, as well as Zendesk. So we've of course built those blocks in here to be part of the flow. So in the middle is the actual flow that we've built. So when we call in, we can hear maybe some audio of a ringtone, for example. We can support text-to-speech. So with that includes variables if you want our system to read back some dynamic data from an integration. We can integrate with external systems a couple different ways besides just having the RightNow, Salesforce, and Zendesk blocks out of the box. We can use fetch URL block, so it's a REST-based HTTP post. We can return a JSON object to the system. We can create a set of variables. We could perhaps even make decisions based on the data that's returned to us. We can identify customers this way, so maybe we post over their telephone number and request a record back to find out who they are. So we can do fetch URL. That's how most external systems are integrated with a block like that. But we also have the ability to do a direct database execution or SQL query to an external system. So if we have that level of access available, that's also another feature that you'd be able to leverage. We can define what screen pop is going to show up. Again, this can be dynamically constructed so that you could pop an exact customer record if you want, or in the case of Salesforce, we support custom object routing, so you could define what object you want to pop and what type of that object you're popping. And then we've got also a menu built out, so things like press 1 for sales, press 2 for service, or maybe in this case, press 1 for English, press 2 for Spanish. We can configure skills-based routing. We can configure any number of menus that we want. You'll see that all these trees are starting to build out, so it's a rolled-up view essentially of each option on the menu, for example, and then we've got other menus that we can also work with. We do also support from scenarios. We can support emails, so maybe a follow-up email, for example, or perhaps you want to do a follow-up SMS message to somebody. We could look, here's an example of variables where we have the Annie, the caller ID, and we're able to pass over a message to them at some point in the workflow, whether that's after the fact or getting disconnected. You'll see that on some of these we have options. So, if we try to find an agent, for example, I was talking earlier about step 1 of skills-based routing, and this is essentially step 2, where you can configure your own skills and skill groups for specified intervals. So in the first example, maybe we're picking a specific skill from a service. We call it 100, but we could actually do a lower skilled agent at 75, for example. So we'll go ahead and just pick one of those, and then again, this is a simple example of doing the routing, but you can configure the routing however you'd like to do. We've also got options for virtual queuing, so if you want the customer, if you want to disconnect with the customer, offer them an option to receive a callback once an agent's available. We have that as out-of-the-box functionality, so when their place in line comes up, we can call them back, we queue the call, and send them to the next available agent. And then we also support the voicemail functionalities. We can capture those, send them to emails. Perhaps we queue them up as email interactions for the agents. A lot of different flexible options available in the Scenario Builder. Happy to take any questions on this piece of the platform as well. So with that said, we'll go ahead and move on to reporting. That is a very critical feature in platforms like this. And so I'll explain kind of our methodology on reporting and the features that we have. So with reporting, we've got the ability to completely customize reports. So all of our reports are driven by what we call templates. They can all be built from scratch, or you can modify existing templates that we have, and the templates and the custom reports in our world is the same thing. So we can modify these templates, save them, upload them, and use them as custom reports. I'll give you an example of a template that exists. So we'll just look up one of our agents here. We'll hit run. And this is an example of a template. Now in the template you can customize everything from the title up here to the logo on the side to the filters, as well as each column. So we could show or hide these different columns. For example, maybe you don't want to see Net Promoter Score, first call resolution, percentage. You could actually remove those from the template, add in maybe a column like abandons or some other type of data point that we have access to, save that template, upload it, and you now have a new custom report. So this is something designed to be easy to use. It's something that you as a customer could do, but we'll be able to help with that piece as well. We also support exporting these in regular intervals, so you could export them to an FTP or SFTP or email address on whatever interval you choose. We also support different file types, such as PDF, XLS, CSV, and TXT. So that's one way that we can look at data, is through these reports. We have real-time data feeds available as a side note as well. So one way we look at data is reports. The other way we look at data is through an agent timeline. So this is going to show us exactly how this agent spends their time. So we can look at Agent Allen, who's the agent we were looking at earlier, and we can see that he was ready and then he's jumped into these different states. So he's been busy with an email, then a chat came through. Now we can tell how long he's been working on each of these different interactions and the order in which he's been working on them too, because we're keeping track of all the timestamps. So we can also look at the screen recording. So one of the features that we have available is screen recording. And so with screen recording, we're able to record everything that's on the entire screen. We're not just limited to, say, just the browser window, for example. So we can see everything that's going on here. Here's our chat session from earlier as an example. We've also got the other way that we can look at data is we've got these interaction records. So this is the individual interaction records that come into the platform. And the cool part about it is we track the interaction records as a whole, but we can also break them up in chunks so it's easier to digest, track back to that one single interaction. So we can look at our different search criteria. So we've got different ways of searching and narrowing down, filtering our data with all of these. So we're just going to look for, we'll just go back to the first of the month here, and we'll search for that and hit search. And so it's going to give us all of the interactions that meet that criteria. So Agent Allen has been busy taking all these different interactions. We can see if we got a flag on there. And then in the scenario, this actually will track the scenario steps that occurred. So we'll take a look at maybe this one, for example, because this one is the scenario we looked at earlier. So we've got a support service scenario that was that we dialed into, and we tracked everything that happened. We tracked the fact that they pressed 1. We went to the block where it says find an agent for technical support, and then it looks for an agent or system, and then we're able to connect it to that agent. Then the agent hung up, and they went in to start the application for the customer survey. So now we're in the customer survey. We know exactly which customer survey they took. If this call got transferred to another user, we'd be able to track that as well as part of the scenario steps. So we can really figure out exactly every single step that this interaction took from the moment that it ended up in our system to the moment it left. So transfers, surveys, all of those things are going to be tracked. We've also got the ability, our system will do this naturally, but we've got the ability to segment the recordings. So what that means is we have our interaction comes in, it goes to the scenario first. We can now, if we want to, we can capture the microphone on the person's phone. So we could record that as part of our full interaction if we want. But we haven't reached an agent yet, so we don't have grading available or anything. This is just the IVR piece where the customer called in and got to the IVR. The second segment is the part where we actually talk to an agent. So this is where we can see the screen recording, we can download it, we can share the link if we need to. We can also grade from here. So on this particular interaction, we can, as you saw earlier, we could have a supervisor assign grades real time. We could also look at the individual, or we could assign these as an admin in a historical manner as well. But the cool part is if we transfer this, we can have another segment of this call. So instead of looking through a giant call or a 30-minute long call, you're able to figure out the correct chunk that it is or the correct segment, and then narrow down that audio that you need where the agent maybe said something or told the customer something that was incorrect, for example, is a common one. So that is reporting from a very high level. That is the reporting that's in the system. Now keep in mind we also have, I showed you dashboards in the supervisor interface, but we also have something called Wallboards where we can build custom wallboards for you, and we can set thresholds, we can completely customize the colors and different things like daily updates. Maybe you have a leaderboard of your best performing agents or perhaps a loser board of your worst performing agents as an example. But you could also break out the interactions. Maybe you want to see total chats, total emails, total voice calls. We could track our SLAs on each of the channels. We could track our different agents, various metrics there for them as well. So there's a lot that you can do with the combination of tools that we're offering. So I think with that said, maybe I'll turn it back over to Darren. We can see if there's any questions on anything that we've talked about from the audience, and we'll kind of go from there. Darren?
I'll actually handle some of the questions. I have the feed up with the attendee submissions. So with that, we can go ahead and get started. One of the questions we have is, what if I only need voice?
Absolutely. We support all the channels. We can support them individually if you only need voice for inbound or outbound or both, or in a blended environment. We can certainly support that.
Okay, great. Another one, the system seems very robust. Do you offer training on the platform, or how will the agents quickly learn how to use the different channels?
It's a great question. We spend about 40 to 50 hours onboarding our new clients. We provide full training. We'll provide training to your admins, basically different groups of people. Essentially what we'll ask for is one person to kind of be involved with each one of the training sessions so that there's somebody who essentially knows everything. But we can offer the different types of training, like for agents and for supervisors and for admins, for IT folks as well. And we'll record those for you so you'll be able to reflect back on them later, the exact training session.
Okay, great. Another one of our attendees only uses SMS seasonally, and they're wondering if it's easy to start and stop using certain channels.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll let Darren take that one.
Yeah, I was just going to say that we provide all the different channels, and it's a flexible solution. So if for instance, a client wanted to use SMS for just a short period of time, they could use it for the time they want to use it. Likewise, we have scenarios with customers where maybe they generally have 100 agents, but seasonally there's an event where maybe they need to scale up to 500 agents. And I know this is taking the conversation in a different direction, but back to flexibility, they can work with us and do the 500 agents for just the month of December or whatnot, and scale back down to 100. Likewise, if they only need to use voice sometimes and other times they need to use other channels, we can work with them to accomplish that.
Okay, great. I have a question for you guys. What makes BrightPattern different from all the other multi-channel providers? There's a lot of them out there.
I'll start and then Nick can finish. Mostly I'm going to say when you look under the hood, the other providers are multi-channel. They do have voice and chat and email. They have a variety of channels. But it's generally that they're different systems, different interfaces, different reporting, and they don't have the ability for a conversation to start in one channel and move to another, again, within a single system, single interface. I'm going to say that's the biggest one. Nick, what do you have to add to that?
Well, I think the speed at which we're innovating with our engineers is a big differentiator for us. Having worked with this team for a while, it seems like they're very intuitive in terms of figuring out new solutions using either things we already have or things we could build, whether they're easy or complex. They're usually able to figure out things pretty quickly for us, and I think that the fact that they've been building enterprise contact center solutions for over 20 years is also another differentiator about those guys as well.
Yeah, that's a great point, Nick, and it's something I didn't bring up at all during my portion. But ultimately, call centers are like snowflakes. No two are the same, and their needs and wants are all different. And most providers are going to try to fit you into a box. Here's what we provide. We hope you like it. We hope it works. And if it doesn't, too bad. So ultimately, the best vendor, the best technology partner is one that's nimble and agile. Yeah, last year we added 200 new features, and this year we're on pace to add over 300 new features. And a good chunk of that is from existing clients that are giving us feedback on features that we should add. About a third of it comes from prospective customers that are saying, we love what we see, but can you do this? And it's being nimble and agile and having a brilliant engineering team that can develop and create customizations as needed. That's really one of the things that makes us stand out over anyone else in the industry. Our ability, our agility, and how nimble our engineering team is.
Great, thank you both for that. Another attendee says, you provide the channels we are currently considering, but how does the reporting work across all channels? And is there a way to track the entire interaction among the multiple channels?
I'll let you take that, Nick.
Yeah, absolutely. So we can do that. A lot of that is typically done through CRM, so we can actually, like we were looking at earlier, we can integrate with CRMs. We're actually rolling out a lead manager where you're able to track the different interactions on each channel. So you'd be able to see, okay, this person sent in a text, they sent in they initiated a chat, maybe they called, maybe we called them back. So we're able to track all of those. It just, the only difference really is where we're pushing that data or posting that data to. Is it an external CRM? Is it going to be in the lead manager? But yeah, we can definitely track the interactions across multiple channels. Some of that is even done in these scenario steps that we were looking at just a few minutes ago.
Great. Thank you, Nick. That's all the questions we have, but just so that the attendees know, where can they find out more about pricing, Darren?
You know, we try to be transparent, and so we actually have it right on our website. If you go to the Bright Pattern website, you can actually see the prices right there on the website. A couple of things to point out. You can go to our prices. You can see that we have different editions. Here's Voice Select. Going back to that question earlier, what if I just want voice? We provide that. We have a professional edition, which is voice, chat, email, and SMS. So that's Omnichannel. The premium edition, which is professional with screen recording, screen monitoring, also some more advanced scoring and quality management built in, as well as social messenger integration. We can create custom packages for clients. Again, on the pricing, it walks through what we do when we're setting up a new client there as well. In addition, our documentation, we make that public. We don't put it behind a firewall. If you go to resources, and then you go to documentation, you could look at our agent guide, our admin guide, our reporting guide. You can get information on APIs. It's all right there.
Great. Thank you, Darren. So it looks like that's all the questions we have for today. It looks like we're going to be able to wrap up a little early. But we do want to thank all of the attendees for joining us today. We hope that you enjoyed the group demo. If you do have any additional questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. I would also like to thank Darren and Nick. That was a wonderful demonstration. And I guess that's a wrap. Thank you all for joining and have a great day.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Shelby. Take care.
Thank you. Take care.